So types of visualizations. This class is about information visualization. But there are other types. For example, there's a lot of work in doing what I call, maybe in a broader sense, scientific visualization. And I kind of group a lot of things in there. But geospatial visualization, maps, maybe, are not necessarily data visualization. If I have a map of the Atlantic or of the Earth, that's not necessarily information. And I'll explain that in a second, why not. Engineering diagrams, MRI scans of of somebody's brain or any other part of the body. Those are, why aren't they information visualization? Because generally, if I know the shape that I'm displaying, if the data that I'm displaying has a pretty clear shape, like a diagram of a starter of an engine, that's a pretty clear defined shape. Then generally, I tend to put it into the scientific visualization field. If it has a shape, all I have to do is make sure I display that shape correctly. So if it's an MRI, all I have to do is make sure I can display all the data points collected by the MRI. The issue there a lot of times is dealing with lots of data. MRIs are pretty big, so just navigating through them becomes very complicated. So it's a computation problem, but it's more computationally oriented than information visualization. In information visualization, typically data does not have a shape that I can think of. So for example, I want to see what they've been discussing for the past 6 days in the impeachment trial. Well, how do I represent that? There's many ways to represent that. I can look at how many times they use these words and kind of plot them. There's quite a number of ways of doing that, but there is no clear shape for what I'm looking at. Financial information also, kind of looking at how the stock market has been doing this past year in all the sectors. How would I represent that? Well, there's more than one way. There is no clear defined shape. So everything that doesn't have a clear shape kind of falls into the information visualization. And you have all the freedom in the world, and that's where the problem really comes in with information visualization. Which shape is the best? Which format is the best? Again, with tic-tac-toe, the format of a table was a very simple one, worked pretty well. The mutilated chessboard, all I had to do is start painting black and white, and that worked pretty well. Well, not always. I mean, those are extreme cases in the sense that they're very simple and they're very powerful. Not always you're going to get something like that. But the closer you get to those, the better. Visualization becomes more useful. Okay, so the other thing between these two, so that's kind of the freedom. There's a lot of freedom in information visualization, and that's what makes it difficult. The fact that you don't have a shape is what makes it difficult. And there is overlap between the two. There many times it's not a clear-cut thing. Here is where we stop having information visualization and start having some sort of scientific visualization. So here is a thunderstorm. So this picture shows a thunderstorm. You can see the shape. You can see that maybe let's say it's water vapor concentration in a thunderstorm. It's clearly, it has a shape. It has the shape of the storm. This is also a part or component in an AutoCAD program. Now, why did I put this in the middle? It's a map of the campus, but this part here where I start listing individual rooms and what, maybe what classes take place in there, when they take place. Now, the room numbers and the classes and when they take place and maybe how many students, so forth, we start adding information that has no shape. Yes, I'm putting it roughly on a map, but it starts to kind of drift away from just a pure map with pure shapes on it. And then this one is Minard's graphic. It's considered, I have to talk about it, otherwise I would be banned from information visualization forever. No, but it's just people talk about it. It's one of the first examples they consider of information visualization, one of the best. So we'll talk, and so the thing to take away from this, there is overlap between the two. This, in general, visualization is a soft area. It's really hard to prove something, to clear cut it in the middle. mostly because we deal with people, and then we deal with very different ways of representing information. So that's why, there's a middle ground where things overlap. But then there are some things that are clearly scientific. Go into the scientific part. So on the Menard's graphic, and that's the last topic for today. Let me explain what it is. It's really, it was done by a British, I don't know his name, or maybe it was French. Name sound French, Menard. I think it's French, explaining Napoleon's march and why to Moscow and back. Napoleon wanted to go and conquer Russia, and they decided to do it in the winter. And they decided to do it without being equipped for winter, and that didn't turn out with that good. So what you're seeing here, everything brown, is Napoleon's going east towards Moscow. Moscow. There is a little bit of a map, east and west. You kind of see it there, but it's not an accurate map by any means. But you can see he was going west. Everything brown, everything black is coming back. The width here represents the size of the army. Is proportional to the size of the army. Obviously, a lot more people went in than came out. You can kind of see it here. And the other thing, you can see what happened over the course of the march. Temperatures and so forth, you can see that they were getting thinner for no apparent reason. I think these are battles, some of these are battles, but it was a continuous decrease in the army. Here they kind of stayed stable. I think what happened, the temperature went up. And then there's another story on the way back. They tried to cross a river. So it was really cold on the way towards Moscow. On the way back, it was starting to kind of get warmer, above freezing point of water, something close to the freezing point. And they tried to cross that river. And what happened there is the water gave in. Obviously, there were no bridges because they would get destroyed by the Russians. So they would cross over with horses and everything, and cannons, whatever they were carrying. They crossed over very thin ice, and ice gave in, and they lost. You can see how dramatic that, about half of the army right there, whatever was left. So this graphic, again, it's not a map. It's just showing you what caused, kind of over time, how the size of the army shrunk and how many went in and how many got out. They're also placing the temperature here. I don't think in this particular map is accurate, but I think maybe what they're saying, temperature warmed up here, and you can see, I think this is the river, so it was relatively warm, and it created problems right there. So again, that's one example of data visualization. It's just the data is the size of the army, and then they also have kind of a little bit of when they had battles, when they crossed rivers. You can kind of see they left some soldiers to lie in wait for them to come back, to reinforce them. So they reinforced them here. They joined back. So you can see some of this stuff, but other than east-west movement, it's nothing else is really easy to see. It's not a map of Russia or by any means.